Hi guys, it's Matt here again at M-vapes. Today we've got a little video showing a new product from Wotofo, which is a bottom feeding RDA called the Serpent BF. This is the packaging. So they've started putting the required warnings on now. It's got a sort of kit contents in there, some more warnings at the top. Let's go ahead and take a look inside. Inside you get the little instruction booklet, the t-shirt competition, and the actual RDA itself. This is a 22mm diameter RDA, and it is only 30mm in height, so it's absolutely tiny. Also in the box you get a Ultim wide bore drip tip, which is the same fitting size as the Goon drip tips, which is a nice touch. And you get 3 bags of stuff. One has some Japanese cotton, second one has all of your O-rings, spare post screws, and this little silicone thing, which I'll come back to, but that's basically for blanking off one side so you can use it as a single coil. And lastly, you get 3 pre-made coils, which I believe are a fused Clapton, which is nice to see. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this RDA. Okay, this is up close with the Serpent BF RDA. Like I say, it's a 22mm diameter RDA and it's only 30mm in height. Let me find something to compare that to. This is the Lush Plus, which is obviously a 24mm RDA, and you can see it's obviously quite a bit smaller than that. This is Serpent Mini. You can see it's absolutely tiny. If you remember the original Freak Show Mini that they did, which was sort of a really stubby tiny version of the Freak Show, it's basically the same size as that, so it is absolutely tiny. I would also say that it is probably a bit smaller than a Hadley. Ever so slightly. Yeah, ever so slightly smaller than a Hadley. Okay, so on the bottom, Serpent BF by Wotofo. It says designed by Wotofo and SY Group. No one yet has sussed out who SY Group is, but there we go. It comes with this standard 510 drip tip, stainless steel, so you can put your own drip tip in there, and this is an Ultim sort of adapter, so you can either use that stainless steel one, or you can use your own, or you can take the top cap off, which is a little bit fiddly because of the design. You sort of have to tease it off. We'll come back to the deck. You can pop out the Ultim adapter, and then you can put in the Goon style drip tip, which is obviously a wider bore and also made of Ultim. And if you've got any other sort of Goon drip tips, they'll fit in there as well. The deck, unlike a normal RDA where you pull this bit off that way, it comes out this way, so it's designed to be sort of very leak proof. That's quite a nice little feature. And obviously this is the Serpent BF, which means that it's for squonking only. There's a hole that runs all the way through, so when used on a squonking mod, you squeeze your bottle and the juice will come up here and saturate your wicks. Now, I've had a play with this, and you can probably see where I've been butchering it. I have tried desperately, because there was some confusion as to whether the Serpent BF came with a regular 510 pin or not. Some companies are listing that it does. Wotofo's product description says it works with regulated mods and squonk mods, but they didn't state that it came specifically with a regular pin. I can confirm it does not come with a regular pin. It only comes with the pin that's in here, which is a squonking pin with the hole all the way through. So technically you can only use it on a squonking device. Now, saying that, there's nothing to stop you using this on a standard device, but what you will find will happen, because I've done it before with other mods, atomizers, sorry, is when you're up and running, you're dripping on like you would a normal dripper. Inevitably a little bit of juice will seep down through that hole, but it won't necessarily go anywhere, because on a 510 connector they're usually a flat brass contact, which will obviously butt up to that, so the juice won't leak out and into the mod as such, but what you will find is it will seep, and when you take your RDA off you will see a little pool of juice sort of sitting inside your 510 connector there. So it's not ideal. It depends how good your mod is at handling juice going from here inside the mod, if the 510 has O-rings in, etc. Personally, I wouldn't advise it, but if you can create a way of putting a little washer in, a little rubber grommet in, seal it off, that might help. But primarily this is for squonking devices only. It's a shame, because it's a lovely RDA, and that would work just as well as a normal regular dripping RDA, but for some strange reason Wotofo decided not to supply it with a standard pin. Like I say, I've been butchering this. I've been trying pliers, I've tried inserting Allen keys, I've tried pushing it from this way. I've tried to get that out, because I thought if I can get that out, then I've got a few spare standard pins lying around, screws. So I thought maybe I could supply the ones that I sell with a standard pin, but this does not want to come out, so I presume it's bonded in there, so that's a shame, but it was worth a go. So anyway, that's the Serpent BF, and let's say it's got this sort of back to front way of doing things, which prevents any leaking. As you can see, it's got 3 airflow holes, so you can do dual coil or single coil. If you're doing single coil, you'll need this little silicone piece, which you just squeeze into one side, like so, and then when you put this into the base, you want to line it up with the airflow slot that doesn't have one opposite it, like so, and then when you put the top cap on, you will be single coil airflow only there, see, and the other 2 are blocked off. So that's a nice touch that you can do dual and single coil. So we'll go ahead and put a build in this and see how it vapes. Okay, what I've done is installed one of the coils that it came with, because I was intrigued to see what sort of ohms they are. I'll say it's a fused Clapton. It's about 3.2 mil internal diameter with 5 wraps. It's coming out at about 0.51 of an ohm. So I've got this set up. and just run a heat cycle through, and that's glowing away quite nicely. Yeah, it's pretty stable around that sort of mark there. I don't know if it's Canthal, neochrome, stainless. It's not jumping around too much, so I presume it's probably Canthal. If it was stainless, that would the ohms would drop a lot more when it's cold and go up a lot more when it's hot. So probably a Canthal coil. So we're going to go ahead and wick this up. We're going to use some of the cotton that it came with as well, because I know that cotton's really nice cotton. So we'll just thread the cotton through there. Okay, that's the cotton installed, and we'll get this juiced up and have a vape. And I'm just going to put a little bit on just to get it going. Like so, and then I'll do the rest with the squonking motion. Okay, let's go ahead and assemble this back together. Obviously I've done a single coil, so I'm going to put the little blanking section in, and then when I drop it into the base, I want to line it up with the airflow that obviously doesn't have one opposite because it's for single coil. So we'll just line that up, push that down, and then we can see that the airflow there is nicely in line with the coil. Right, let's pop it on the mod. Now I'm going to prime the rest of the cotton via the squonking action. So I give the bottle a squeeze. You can see that the juice comes up through the hole. And saturates the wick quite nicely. So squeeze your bottle, juice comes up, and it saturates your cotton. Now the way this has been designed, the squonk hole sits on a little sort of plinth in the middle. So either side is sort of your juice wells, which your cotton sits down into. So it's quite nice that when you squonk it, basically comes up and goes straight onto the coil and the surrounding wick, and obviously the wick below it as well, which is quite an effective way to squonk. Okay, and we're all squonked, primed and ready for action. Make sure that make sure your deck hasn't moved. When you put your top cap on, you want to line up one of the cutouts with the coil and the airflow that's in line with that. And obviously you can see it's blocked off the dual airflow, and that is now ready to go. Right, let's have a little vape and see what it's like. That is, I like it. I've got my raspberry mint in there, 4 milligrams. I find 3 is a little bit too weak for me for direct lung, so 4 is just right. 0.5, I normally build about 0.4, so we're not far off that on the little mini mech. That is, what a setup. Right, let's have a vape. Well, from one coil, That's plenty of vapour. The flavour is really crisp. Very nice indeed. It's definitely up there with them. Yeah, cannot complain. Airflow is, I'd say, quite smooth. Let's have another go. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, really happy with that. And I think that looks rather tasty on the little mini mech. Yeah, not a bad little setup. Look forward to using that for, well, I'm going to use it for certainly the rest of this week. Like I say, I'm not normally a direct lung inhaler, as you know. I'm more of a mouth to lung guy. But that is, I mean, that is a sexy little setup, isn't it? Especially with the autumn and the brass. I think that works well with the walnut wood. Yeah, happy as Larry. So flavoursome. Oh, lovely. Right, anyway, enough gushing. That has been the Serpent BF by Wotofo. These are coming and they're in stock now on M-vapes, and they are $23.95 delivered, and I believe that is the cheapest price in the UK because that's what we do. Pop along, and if you like the look of it and you're a squonker, pick yourself one up. I can highly recommend it. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.